I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barr. You're watching Black T News. Hello, welcome to Black T News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today, if I had known about this yesterday, we would have talked about it yesterday, but you guys know that some people were kicked out of a Kamala Harris rally after, shouting Jesus is Lord. Well, she, I don't know if these were pre-planned because, politicians always end up at churches, one way or another during the campaign. And so she had a church visit on Sunday to a pretty sketchy pastor, by the way, big mega church, but sketchy dude. And there were some people in the audience who weren't having it. And I guess they ended up being escorted out. So, she's having a rough go at it while Trump, is bop, 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 bop. I'm loving it, having a pretty good weekend and stuff. So, there's that. Also, she must have seen some panic in her numbers with the Latino community because she is now deciding to put out a special agenda for Hispanics. But it's pretty much just the same stuff for Black people retooled, which you can't specifically plan to use tax dollars and stuff just for Black people. So the plan for Black men isn't really for Black men. So they retooled some stuff, but the bullet points for Hispanic voters is quite different than the ones that she had for Black men. So once again, I'll say Kamala Harris and her team are quite racist, and we'll go through that today. And some other things. But before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream. We're on my site, all the good stuff, and I need to update equipment and all the kinds of other things. So if you guys can support, I appreciate it. If you can't, I totally understand, but I thank you for watching, for commenting, liking, reposting, retweeting, all that stuff. It does all help and support. So if you can, I appreciate it. And again, that does all help. Did this really happen again? The kicking out thing, yeah. That well, she didn't kick them out, but I mean, I haven't seen a video of her saying remove this person, but there's like cops removing somebody who apparently wasn't having a good time that she showed up to the church, but apparently it's a pretty left-wing church, so I don't understand why people be surprised that they showed up. I will show you guys a video about it in a bit, but yeah, it happened again. Please go check out merch that's available at blacktnews.com. That's another way that you guys can also support, and then you guys can also get merch. So, win-win. And so there's the, I'm not the victim you're looking for. There's a black tea mug. And I know it's still fall. So, we still got the pumpkin spice season mugs that you guys can get. And I do also have that in a t-shirt. So go ahead and check out that merch. You guys can also check out some of my books that are available. Well, if you go to blacktnews.com, the merchandise page, there's a banner that'll take you to my book website. But there's also a link in the description if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube where you can, just go to my Amazon page and see all my stuff. But on my book website, Ninja Dust Publishing, there is a page that'll tell you, because a lot of parents ask, can my kids read my stuff? And I'm like, I'm not you. They're not my kids. Parents have all kinds of different boundaries with their kids, and I highly respect that. So I wrote down like a list of different things that might cause, I don't know, I don't want to say triggering, but just different things so parents can know. I don't write like sex scenes or anything like that. And if there's anything like that, it's all fade to black anyway. But I do have children's chapter books all the way to like new adult kind of stuff. So make your own decisions and buy accordingly. Also, I just did drop my video I was talking about yesterday. I did drop it like just before I came on. So I encourage you guys to watch it as soon as we get done with the live. Go ahead and watch it, like it, comment, share it. I've already posted on TikTok. Hopefully it's not flagging taken down. I've already posted on TikTok. I've posted on YouTube. I posted on Facebook. I will not be able to post it directly on Twitter because I don't have a verification right now. I did get evil. I had it, and then I paid for it again, and they took my $8, but they didn't give me my verification. So there's nothing I can really do about that, and I don't want to just give them another $8 and nothing happens. So, and no one's contacted me about it. So anyway, I will post the link to my YouTube, but I know they don't really like links like that on X. So I will post a link on X, but I can't post the whole thing on X. I haven't put on Instagram yet, but I will put on Instagram. All my handles are at Black Tea News, Black the color tea like the drink. The only one that's different is X, and that one's True Black Tea. And I have several TikTok pages. It's True Black Tea, there's Black Tea News, and there's a couple Black Tea News. And then I do also have an author one that's just, I think that it might be Christina Albar, it might be Ninja Dust Publishing. I don't know which one it is, but that one I don't post political stuff on there. That's just like for my book stuff. So if you guys want to follow me there, appreciate it. But I ask that you guys please go ahead and share that video. It had, again, it's 50 reasons not to vote for Kamala Harris, and it's substantive stuff. And just thinking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't put that thing in there. I didn't put that thing in there. I didn't put that thing in there. And someone in the comments on Facebook, I had posted about it, and they're like, what about when she wanted to make sure the Boston Marathon bomber could vote? And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. So I was still in the midst of editing some stuff. And so I went ahead and I added that in there. So thank you for your suggestion. So that made the cut, but there's lots of things that didn't make it in there, but it's good information. And again, it's substantive, and it's things that she said. It you know, it's and stuff that she voted on. And so there's receipts in the video, plenty of receipts in the video. Sometimes people will say stuff about Trump and they can't provide the receipts. I have the receipts about Kamala Harris. So go ahead and please share the video. And another thing that I said at the end of the video is if people want to take it and repost it on their platforms, because I know social media is kind of suppressing not kind of, they are suppressing my stuff on YouTube, on TikTok, and Facebook, and other places. So I said that if anyone wants to take it and repost it, and they have a pretty a nice platform or whatever, you can go ahead and do that, and you have my permission to do that, as long as you keep the watermarks on there, which I don't know how you'd remove them, because I have a website here and I have like my watermark with my logo in the corner. I mean, they could probably find a way to get rid of the watermark in the corner, but just make sure you don't take those off, and make sure that you have some kind of action or credit like back to my website. That's all that I asked for. I worked really hard on it. So I would like if they like my work and would like to support me by following me, by, if they wanted to leave a donation or something, I appreciate that. But I do want people to see the information. That's the most important thing. So go ahead and share it. Craig said, where's the video? It's on right now. It's on TikTok. It's on Facebook. I did post it on Facebook. I shouldn't post by now. I don't know if it finished processing, but I did post it. And it's on YouTube. I will put it on Instagram. I'll have to post a link on X. I can't post it on X, the whole thing, because it's like 8 minutes long. The video content is with the reasons is 7 minutes. It's with the background music is Beethoven's Symphony No. 5, which is about 7 minutes long, and then I have like a little message at the end. So the whole thing is about 8 minutes. So it's a good 8 minutes worth of everybody's time. I actually made a video like that back in 2016 for Hillary Clinton. My sister said she thought it was better than the Hillary Clinton one. And I don't, maybe maybe it is. I don't know. And I actually did one for Biden, but the Biden one didn't get a lot of traction, and we'll see what happens with this one. But I think it's imperative that people share it, and there's not a there's the reasons aren't petty, or I mean they're very substantive stuff. So go ahead and check it out, and hopefully enough people will see it that it'll change some hearts and minds. And it's amazing how people's minds and hearts are so clouded. Let me discuss this before I get into the church thing. So yesterday, and I posted a video about this on TikTok and on maybe I posted it on my socials, but there's someone that I follow, and he's a he studies religion and stuff, and I don't agree with all the stuff he says about religion. He's a Christian, but there are things, big things that we differ on. But I started following him because he was debunking other people that I thought needed to be debunked. So that's why I started following him. I don't think we're mutuals, but someone did a video discussing Kamala Harris and the kicking people out of the rally. And so she's like, if you're a Christian and you're voting for Kamala Harris, you need to watch this. And so he responded to her video, and he said that he's voting for Kamala Harris because he's a Christian. And I was floored. I'm like, okay, because I know we disagree about things, but I thought you were a little more sensible than that. So I was curious where his video was going to go. And so he said those people at the rally, she didn't kick them out because they were Christian. They were interrupting her. They came there to troll her. And I don't know if they came there with the intent to troll her. Let's say that's true. That was optics wise, that was insane. She shouldn't have done it like that, but she was in her feels, in her moment or whatever. And Ben Carson was talking about it, and he said she didn't even have to think about it. That's just what came out of her. I'm like, yep, that's just what came out of her in that sassy little moment. Now, if she heard them and responded to what they said, and their response was, I think you belong at the rally, the smaller one down the street. That's crazy. She could have said, amen, I'll see you on Sunday, but we gotta be in order. We can't do things out of order, and you're out of order. Like, just, something like that. And that would have had like typical, like, church vernacular. I'll say typical Black church vernacular. I don't know if every church or whatever, but folks would have responded to that and understood, and she would have, stood on Christian business, even though she was talking about some pretty evil things at the time, while addressing a heckler, because they were heckling. And anyway, that was terrible optics. She shouldn't have did what she did. But he just bashed them for trolling her. And then he said she's made it very clear that she respects people's religious beliefs. How is that? How? Now, people might say that they respect different people's religion, but you have to watch their actions. Because people will respect a Christian until Christianity brushes up against something that you don't agree with, something that you don't like. And that's fine. We don't have to agree on everything. Christians don't agree on everything, like different denominations or whatever. People even in the same denomination or whatever. And different religions obviously push up against each other because, Christianity's thing is, Jesus is the only way. And if you don't agree with that, then you're not making it in. Like, so it's very, we are correct and we want you to get on the correct train. So we can't all be right. I've seen some people say all roads lead to, no, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. So you're going to have some disagreements when you come up against different stuff, but particularly the left, they will come up against Christianity. They'll say, oh, it's cool, whatever. But when it bumps up against LGBT stuff, that's when it's, oh, you guys are hateful. Why do you guys always bring up religious liberty when it's to discriminate against the gays and trans or whoever? And AOC said something along those lines about, I guess it was more than 4 years ago. How come when, Christians, they bring up religious liberty, it's always about discrimination or whatever. So if you really want to know how Kamala Harris feels about religion, just go look back to how she felt about the 303 creative case, because she put out a statement about it. And if you're unfamiliar with the 303 creative case, there was a website designer, I believe, who was out of Colorado. And so she was going to make, her website business. And so she like preemptively was like, if I'm not making stuff for like LGBT weddings and stuff. So she ended up going to court, and even though she didn't have like someone who was directly like coming against her at that time, there were reasons why they allowed that, because Colorado has a history, particularly with the baker. There was a baker, Jack Phillips, who didn't want to make a same-sex wedding cake, and they sued him, and then he's got sued multiple times. They keep coming back after him, so there was reason why they're like, you got Colorado, you're kind of iffy, guys. You're kind of shady. So they ended up ruling in her favor. And so it wasn't even like just a matter of like religious liberty. It's freedom of expression, freedom of association. And people were bonkers and so angry, at the fact that people don't have to be forced to make a cake for a gay wedding or make a website for a gay wedding or whatever. And they just see that as discrimination. But why do you deserve my forced labor? Isn't that slavery? Okay. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt. Go elsewhere. There's people who would just take the green and go on with their lives. There's Christians who will do it and still go on with their lives and think that's business. It has nothing to do with their faith. But there's plenty of people who will stand by their convictions. But the thing about the case is, okay, think of it this way. What if you were a gay baker and someone came to you and said, hey, we're having a conversion therapy camp, and we would like you to make a cake that says thank you for praying the gay away. Now, what if they didn't want to do that? Well, the 303 creative case says that they don't have to do that. It works for everybody. The law is neutral. So we live in a society, and we're together, and we're not always going to be happy with each other's decisions, but we would like the law to apply equally to everyone. So yes, you can say no to me, but I can say no to you. And it shouldn't be the case that you want me to say yes to you always and be forced to, but I can't ever say no to you. That's ridiculous, and that's not equality. So Kamala Harris, she wasn't happy when that came out, and that's one of the reasons why they want to put more people on the Supreme Court, why they want to kill the filibuster, and they're even thinking and they have conversations about packing the court, because they want to change the conservative landscape of the court. But thank God that there is a conservative court, because they've made several decisions now that were really, questions about our liberties, whether it was COVID, the OSHA mandates. There was a case in New York that came before the Supreme Court where they were obviously treating churches differently than other businesses as far as who could assemble where. And they had special rules that they were basically imposing upon the churches. And New York tried to withdraw the case at one point, and they're just like, no, you can withdraw it, and then we can withdraw it, and then you can just do the same thing. So no, we're going to take it to the Supreme Court. And the churches and those organizations, they ruled in their favor. But the Biden-Harris administration, if they could just get, a few more justices to turn things around, our First Amendment rights could be gone very quickly. Our Second Amendment rights could be gone very quickly. I don't know how fast they can take all of your guns, but they hate the Heller decision. Like, if a gun is in common use, then you can't, like, to get rid of it or whatever. So they get rid of your AR-15s and your Glocks and all that stuff real fast if they could. So they don't respect your rights, and especially not your religious liberty. So as much as it's interesting that people are really upset about Kamala Harris saying, you're at the wrong rally, you're supposed to be at the one down the street. I understand Christians being angry at that, but if you really want to see how uh dangerous she is for to Christians, look no further than how they react to when religious liberty is defended. That's what you should be focused on. And that didn't even make the video that I made. There's all these there's just more and more and more and more and more of things that you cannot like about Kamala Harris. So I'm like, I was confused with this guy. He's like, she's made it very clear that she will stand for people's religious liberties, or why? Because she, like, it came out of her mouth. Yeah, well, the serpent in the garden said a lot of nonsense too. Like, Lucifer says a lot of stuff too. You know, that doesn't mean that they're telling the truth. Her actions dictate something else altogether. So he went on and he defended her, and then he started talking about Trump. He's like, well, if you're so concerned about, a person and how they their religious, how well they respect Christians, let's talk about Donald Trump. So he brings up some article about someone saying that Donald Trump doesn't speak well about Christians behind closed doors. And that's a he said she said situation. And to be frank, depending on the context of the conversation, I can see that, because he said so many things, just angry about pro-life stuff, and basically been at war with them for past 2 years or so. So I could see him being frustrated on trying to move to the left or something, and people pressuring him to go a different way and being like, oh, these guys, I can see that. But to have like some kind of animosity that people are suggesting, that I can't see, because Donald Trump has been connected with Paula White for a long, long, long time. Maybe I'm talking about 20 plus years, maybe closer to 30. Maybe not quite 30, but a long time, long time. When she told the story, I went to one pro Trump event. I guess it was in 2020. She was there, and she told a story about how the Lord told her to well, she was getting all this, like, she's doing different TV stuff, and there was like a little cable channel. I don't think it's cable. I think it was like over the air or something. And she was going to do that one, and she felt impressed that she should. And lo and behold, that little channel went into Mar-a-Lago, and Trump was watching her. So eventually he reached out to her and said, I've been watching you a long time, and I consider you to be kind of my pastor. And so she was at the inauguration. So she's and they had a special, like, prayer department in the Trump administration, and they had people, like different prayer people assigned to like different departments within the executive branch. And so they had a lot going for them, during the Trump administration, that I'm sure the Biden administration, really took down very quickly. So you could believe that some of it is to pander. Um, but to pander or to make good on promises and to, you know, give people a place. He made good on a lot of stuff that he said to evangelicals. Now, I'm not too fond of some of the moves he's made as of late, and I hope he I don't know, has a road to Damascus moment. Some people said it was he's really changed after him getting shot, and I'm sure he is to a big degree. But I want some of these positions to flip back the other way. But I don't think he's beyond uh persuasion, I guess. And I would like to believe Kamala's not beyond persuasion. If you're a Christian and you think that any candidate or any person is just beyond being reached, then I think you need to go pray a little bit more. Because we should believe and pray, and for all of our leaders to get right. But as it stands right now, who am I more concerned with as far as my future, and who would mean me harm and try to hinder my beliefs, or me being able to exercise those beliefs freely? Definitely Kamala Harris. She's concerning, but again, Trump has had this long-standing relationship with Christians, and Paula White would bring people into Trump Tower who were doing different charity stuff, and he would write checks, and then he'd have like other friends around. He's like, "Hey, you need to write them a check," and he's very charitable. He doesn't talk about a lot of his charitable stuff. You know, there's so much that people don't know about all the good that he's done. So I thought that perspective that he had was cap. But then the crazy thing is he brought up Trump's photo op when he was Lafayette Square, I think. And so back in 2020, there was a church that was nearly burnt down, but like the night before, or it was the night before, 2 nights before, something like that. And so there were these protesters that were cleared out, and everybody was saying, "Oh, Trump gassed these people so he could go do a photo op." And he went to the church and he held up a Bible, and people were so mad because he held it up upside down. And to me at the time, I'm like, they tried to take down this church, and it is a very old historic church. And he went there, he held up the Bible, and I thought for optics, it was good, not just for him and his like campaign or whatever, but him to do it to just be like, we're not gonna let this nonsense stand. You guys burning down a church? Like, it's like, no, we survived, and we're gonna stand up to this nonsense. That's what I kind of took it as. But you had Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and all these people saying, I watched him gas peaceful protesters. Okay, sure. Whatever. Peaceful protesters. And that he didn't gas them, he didn't send the order to gas them. So a year later, an entire year later, it came out after an investigation, independent investigation, that before Trump even planned to go there, there was a plan to get the people to leave because they were going to put up different fencing to protect federal property. So that's why they gassed the protesters. It was before they even knew that Trump was going to go over there. So that's the story. And it was debunked in 2021. So people believe that for an entire year. But unfortunately, apparently people still believe it today, because that was one of his examples to say that Trump, you know, disrespects Christians and Christianity. And so I wrote in his comments, I said that was debunked in 2021. I did a video reply to him, and I haven't heard anything from him. I know he's replied to other people's comments since my comment, and since I posted that video. So hopefully he corrects that. You know, he not a ton of people saw his video, but it's still misinformation. Hopefully it's just him being misinformed and not, blatantly lying about it. But people still believe this stuff. It's insane. The Breakfast Club. Lord Trump was on the Breakfast Club. I still haven't seen the whole thing. I'm not going to play you any clips because you guys can watch it yourself, because Breakfast Club is very picky about showing their clips online. And I just don't feel like getting dinged by them. But Laura Trump, she must have did pretty okay, because my oldest sister, she's like, I didn't see anything really negative on the Shade Room about it. And she mentioned how people believe the Charlottesville hoax. And so she started explaining it, how Trump didn't call neo-Nazis very fine people. He said, I'm not talking about them. Charlemagne, the host, said, I watched that press conference. I didn't see that. And she's like, you can look it up right now. And, you can see the truth. So I'm glad that she was able to say that, because I'm sure a lot of his followers don't know that that's the case, that Trump said, I'm not talking about neo-Nazis. But Charlemagne, he has political people on often. Now they talk about hip hop and culture and other stuff like that. So they don't always talk about politics, but a lot of politicians go on the Breakfast Club. It's a pretty influential show. And Vivek has been on there. Byron Donalds has been on there. I thought JD Vance should go on there, but it seems like Laura probably did okay. I didn't expect her to be honest. I was like, I don't know about that. But I thought they might have Angela Rye or other people who are very aggressive and political on there to like argue with her the whole time, and it didn't seem like that was probably the case. Because Angela Rye was on there when Byron was on there, and Byron Donald just made her look so foolish, and she was trying to fact check him, and he ended up like fact checking her. But yeah, she got to tell his audience like Trump didn't say those things. But Charlemagne is supposed to be plugged in. He's interviewed the vice president of the United States, and he doesn't know. He doesn't know that this thing that he believes that informs him in his decision to believe that Donald Trump is a racist isn't real. So it's insane. But anyway, those two things are in my video when I debunk Trump myths, top 10 Trump hoaxes. So if you haven't watched that one, I recommend you go watch it on YouTube. And I did them in order to which ones I thought were most damaging, and those two are up there. The Lafayette Park gassing thing, I put as number 9. I don't remember which number the Very Fine People hoax was, but it's probably number 2. I think number 1 was probably, it might have been Russia collusion. Very Fine People might have been number 2. It was very damaging to him, and it's a shame. It's a shame that Snopes took so long to debunk it. Other people had debunked it and stuff too. And I wish when Trump was on the debate stage, he had mentioned Snopes and Jake Tapper or just other people who had debunked it. I wish he wouldn't have just been like, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham. I'm like, you are not winning anyone over by mentioning Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, because people will be like, that's just Fox News. But no, that stuff has been debunked. And in the gassing of the protesters, that was debunked by NPR, NBC, Axios. So it was a main story when it came out. So it's a shame people still believe such lies. Anyway, let's watch this video, this TikTok video, with someone talking about Kamala Harris going into this church, because they have some background on the pastor a little bit, and so you can probably understand why they picked this church in particular for her to go to. But there was a person in the audience who still didn't like it, and she ended up being escorted out. I don't know exactly why she's at this church, because it seems she's probably too sensible, but here we go.
Honored to be with you. Thank you all, everyone. Good Sunday morning, Pastor. Thank you.
So Kamala went to church, but why? Well, let's show you the reason. There you had somebody yelling Jesus is Lord, and Kamala saying they were at the wrong rally. But here's what's interesting. Out of all churches, she decided to go to Jamal Bryant's church, a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's the same man who didn't agree with getting rid of abortion.
Rashawn, after the Supreme Court ruling about that new birth and me are pro-choice, because Jesus is.
Just because the Lord gave us free will does not mean he would be okay with abortion. God hates the shed of innocent blood. This is the same guy who said they should grow weed in the church.
The largest land-owning black church in America. And so my position to my deacons is, why aren't we not raising cannabis?
So out of all churches, of course she'd go to this one. How convenient. I don't even know why the congregation is still there. But if they stay there and continue to follow this man, they will be judged just like he will be, unless he repents. Just like the Pharisees, they will be guilty by association. Look what was also said at this church.
That we can live on and say, I thank you that I'm a woman, but I'm wise. I'm gay, but I'm godly. I'm straight.
He said, gay, but I'm godly. Guys, the wheats and the tares, they're being shown. I pray you're not in this congregation. I pray you're not in a service like that. In fact, a woman actually got kicked out of there at that service for going against that trash. I take my hat off to true Christians standing up against this nonsense. True Christians that choose to stand up in the midst of crowds going along with demonic activity. My hat is taken off to that lady. May more of you rise up and speak out against this trash and anything that steps into the house of God, pretending to be God, but is truly antichrist. God bless.
Yeah, so I not surprised that she went there. And so I was having a conversation with my sisters not too long ago about this, and she's just, her going to church. She's like, that's such and such church. Like, that's not a big deal. you know, as far as her really trying to outreach and repair her image. Like, that's not the place to do it. But Kamala Harris, she's like, does Kamala even talk about religion like that? I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, she can quote a scripture or whatever here and there. And like recently, I don't really hear her talk her as Rush Limbaugh said, leftism is a religion and their sacrament is abortion. And Kamala Harris, that is her, man. That's her. That's her thing. That's her thing, absolutely. But really giving honor and glory to God, nope. Mm-mm. There's and all the time that I've looked at her and researched her and studied Kamala Harris, being religious, loving the Lord, bearing fruits of the spirit. Like, I, a tree by its fruits, and I would not say that she gives that vibe at all, being Christian. Not in the least bit. So and there's people you can say, well, what about Donald Trump? Donald Trump has some, you know, issues that, I obviously don't like. And no one the alliance there with Christians, or at least it was in the past, was we know this man isn't going to be our pastor, but we are hoping that basically he wants to cut deals with people, so we want to cut deals with him. Now, he has turned a 180 on a lot of different areas that have been very important to the Christian community, like the abortion stuff. So, a lot of people have been debating and asking, like, where should we go? Trump was kind of like, and his folks were like, where are they going to go? They have nowhere else to go. And unfortunately, he's correct, but some people were thinking about just staying out of it. And I think she's too evil, though. I think she's too evil. I was so angry when I saw that video of Amber Thurman that they cut and they showed at that rally, and trying to compare it with all these women who can't get miscarriage care. And then she brings up Amber Thurman, who didn't have a miscarriage. She aborted her twins and got sepsis from after taking the abortion pill. And that just made me so angry. The things that they can lie about. I think there's dangers to both. Um, winning as far as where the pro-life movement, for example, is going to go, or Republicans feeling like they can moderate on so much stuff and be rewarded if Trump wins. But hopefully I think he's persuadable. And other Republicans, are probably easier to persuade. If they start acting up, we can probably draw them back in, rein them in easier than we can with Trump. So, you know, I think the voters will have to, even if they go with him on right now on November the 5th, they will have to stand up and demand a more righteous mindset. They will have to make those demands. And I'll keep, speaking out. And I think I hope other people will, and not just, turn a blind eye until midterms or 2028. You have to be the change that you want to see every day that you get the chance, not when the ads start rolling on TV. But Kamala Harris, I've never seen a campaign lie the way that they lie. I don't think they should be rewarded for that. We've never seen a campaign that was, replace their candidate after he lost a debate badly and get replaced all of a sudden. If this behavior is rewarded, can we ever trust really an election process again with our primaries? Will we ever, or even like when we have debates and stuff, can we trust that the two candidates that debate, that those will be the ones that'll be on the ticket? Can we trust our process anymore if they are rewarded for this gambit? I don't think so. And then there's all the radical things that they want to do: pack the courts, break the filibuster, their dumb tax policies, and all the LGBT stuff. There's so much at risk. I was gonna write this all down and kind of spill my thoughts, because there's someone particular who keeps asking, because they're really on the fence about stuff, and they know that I've criticized. I criticize when I see something I don't like. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle it's on. And so they're really just pointing at some stuff that Trump did, and they respect my opinion and want to know, I guess, basically how you can justify voting for him. And everybody's gonna have to make that decision on election day, but I can tell you that she's worse. There's a case where there's a pro-lifer who's going to jail for 3.5 years for violation of like the FACE Act. So this was back in 2020. She was outside of an abortion clinic, and she's a Christian woman. And they said that she was threatening people and that there was a physical altercation. Now, if she like started a physical altercation, then that's not right. But I doubted that's how it went. But they said she was blocking door. I do not encourage people to do stuff like that. I don't. But they said that she was threatening people. And according to Beverly, that's the name of the pro-lifer, her threats were things like, I cancel this place in the name of Jesus. So it's just like typical prayer stuff. I'll have to look more into it. I've seen some videos and stuff. I've seen a little bit of the court documents, but I'm probably have to read through the whole thing, because there's just a lot to it. But if that's why they got rid of her, those are just like normal prayers, like warfare in the spirit sort of stuff, where you're not physically meaning to harm anyone, but you're trying to do war in the spirit. So, it'll hearts and minds and other stuff will be changed and whatnot, and rebuking demonic activity and all kinds of, it has nothing to do with like you're gonna, I don't know, come back and beat up somebody or set the building on fire or anything like that. So if that's the reason why they decided to make an example out of her and gave her 3.5 years, 3.5 years, this is a wife, this is a mother, and this is in the midst of 2020, when people were burning down stuff all over the place with BLM riots. And, how many people were prosecuted for protesting in front of the Supreme Court justices' houses? or how many people were prosecuted for burning down or doing fire bombings or whatever to pregnancy crisis centers. But we see where they have a harsh punishment for their opponents. And she's not the only person that they've gone after. There was one man, his court got, when he went through the courts, the case was over so fast. But there was like a slight altercation outside of an abortion clinic, and they tried to like nail him, but it was over so quick, and like local law enforcement didn't pursue it, but they wanted to come after him because he's pro-life. So I don't know how much that will expand under the rule of Kamala Harris, while she wants to do things like well, there was an ACLU thing where it said she wanted to decriminalize all drugs and all kinds of stuff. That I have that in my video. But she was for the defund the police movement, and she got those rioters out of jail, by helping to fundraise with the Minnesota Freedom Fund. And so they're she's cozy with the Soros family, who loves, these soft on crime DAs, prosecutors, or whatever, that's going to let these people back on the street. So it's just amazing. The moment when you guys are so tough on crime is when it's somebody who's trying to prevent babies from being killed. So I'd be concerned. And it's not just that. We know in the past Kamala Harris has talked about going after social media companies, and she was glad that Trump got banned off of social media, and she thinks it's wrong and not right that people get to go online. It's about misinformation, but it's like, who gets to decide what's misinformation? Because the government is wrong about stuff. They lie about stuff. Kamala Harris HQ lies about so many things. CNN did an article about how deceptive they are. And they keep at it, and they don't care. Like they keep spreading the Charlottesville stuff. They spread in June that Trump gassed those protesters. They don't care about the truth. So if your own campaign doesn't care about the truth, but you want to go after Trump or whoever for misinformation, it's because you want to weaponize the government for your benefit. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So if people are concerned about their self-preservation on top of the border and economy and all sorts of different things, you got to vote against her. You got to vote against her. It's my 2 cents about it. But if you need more convincing, I had a video I just put out with 15 reasons not to vote for her. So I would check that out. Let's move on. Let's talk about something new that she put out. So she introduced some plans for the Latino community. And I'm not surprised where Latinx, if they're still pushing that nonsense. So Trump, according to a Fox News poll, is ahead. And this is very alarming for Democrats, I'm sure, if there's accuracy to these polls. Okay. Actually, no, it's not a Fox News poll. It's a USA Today Suffolk University poll done in October of likely voters. So it's not a Fox News poll. Fox News is just reporting on it. 49%. That's not good for them. And Trump making inroads with the Black community, particularly Black men. And so many Muslims deciding that they're going to sit out, which, by the way, not just because of people sending money to Israel for the war in Gaza, but the fact that she's so happy that Dick Cheney has endorsed her, is supporting her over Trump, and she's going around the country with his daughter. And people have thought of Dick Cheney as a warmonger who's responsible for the death of so many Muslims. That's why I saw one interview, and it was 4 Muslims, and 3 of them said, we're either going to vote Jill Stein or we're going to abstain. And one woman was like, no, I'm going to vote for Trump. And like, but Trump, what about the Muslim ban? He's going to bring that back. And she's like, I don't feel safe right now. She said a lot of people said some stuff about Donald Trump when he was in office, but I felt safe then. I don't feel safe right now. So her going around with Liz Cheney, it's not good. And I think Trump must have tapped into that because he had put something on Truth Social about it. And I think I retweeted it. Let me look it up real quick. I think I retweeted his post. And someone said, oh gosh, I don't know if I can. He said, Arab voters are very upset that Comrade Kamala Harris, the worst vice president in history of the United States and a low IQ individual, is campaigning with dumb as a rock war hawk Liz Cheney, who, like her father, the man that pushed Bush to ridiculously go into war in the Middle East, also wants to go to war with every Muslim country known to mankind. Remember, Liz Cheney lost her congressional seat by the largest margin, 40% in history, for a sitting congressperson. If Kamala gets 4 more years, the Middle East will spend the next 4 decades going up in flames, and your kids will be going off to war, maybe even a 3rd world war, something that will never happen with President Donald Trump in charge. For our country's sake and your kids, vote Donald Trump for peace. So I've said this already, but if I were Donald Trump and when he had the debate with Kamala Harris and she brought up the fact that Dick Cheney was supporting her, I would have said, well, why is Dick supporting Kamala Harris? I don't think it's because he supports, paying for taxpayer funded surgeries for, trans illegal aliens. I don't think he probably thinks price gouging is a good idea. It must be because of war. Dick likes war. Cheney, he likes war. Kamala Harris, the world's going to be on fire. And then, certain people will be able to make the big bucks or something. I would have just went that route. But of course, he didn't. And that's unfortunate. But people are still looking at the connection with the Cheneys and her just going around like, oh, yeah. I don't know what market this is appealing to, but I mean, there's Democrats who are like, oh yes, yay, Liz Cheney. She's the rebel. She's speaking truth to power, and she's defying them. And there's a lot of Republicans who will defect and get praise from the left, and then they have to keep going and going and going in that route. The real reason why people are upset with Liz Cheney is not just because she had a disagreement with Trump while she was in leadership, but because she just went out. It seemed like she went out of her way to do that, and it caused division, and she was in a leadership role. You have to do what's good for the whole of the party when you're in a leadership position. So it seemed like she, I'm not saying she didn't legitimately dislike Trump and thought he was dangerous and it was worth doing all the stuff that she was doing, but it seemed like she was a bit of an attention whore. And it wasn't good for everyone else. And that's why they wanted her, to be kicked out of leadership. But I'm sure she's getting some, claps and some praise and stuff. But at the same time, what's wrong with these people like Liz Cheney is that at the end of the day, they end up compromising on their worldview. It's amazing when you watch like David French and the people at the Bulwark and other stuff where they've started compromising on some of their views and bending over backwards to justify their positions and supporting Democrats over Donald Trump. And you cannot like the man, but if you're conservative and you believe in those values, the best you can do is vote someone else in or just sit out if you're not going to vote against Kamala Harris, but to actually go out of your way and then support her, it's you're compromising a lot there. But Liz Cheney, she was asked about the Dobbs decision in their little press conference they had the other day, and she said that it went too far. Let me see if I can find the exact quote. But she was all pro-life, believed in a constitutional amendment and having the 14th Amendment apply to the preborn. And now it's like, oh, but there's some things, that go too far. Um So, can I add to this just because I think it's such an important point, and I think there are so many of us around the country who have been pro-life, but who have watched what's going on in our states since the Dobbs decision, and have watched the state legislatures put in place laws that are resulting in women not getting the care that they need. It's largely propaganda. I'm not saying that there aren't hospitals not doing the right thing, but that's malpractice. The laws all allow for women to be treated, and you don't have to be bleeding out and dying for that to happen. So she's feeding into the narrative here. And she said, and so I think this is not an issue that we're seeing break down across party lines. And Harris said, right. And Cheney said, but I think we're seeing people come together to say what has happened to women when women are facing situations where they can't get the care they need, where in places like Texas, for example, the attorney general is talking about suing to get access to women's medical records. That's not sustainable for us as a country, and it has to change. And Kamal said, yeah, but I know she's like campaigning for Harris, but Harris believes in no limitations, and you're playing into, their narrative. So, I mean, Kamala voted against providing care for babies that survive abortion. That's how radical she is on the issue. But that's basically where every Democrat is, because everyone she did that while she was in the Senate, and in the House, they voted that down in 2023, I think. So they're all extreme basically in the Democrat Party. And but in order to play ball, you gotta compromise, I guess, because they're not. If you go with Kamala Harris and you start speaking the truth, like, just even if you want to criticize Trump, but you start speaking the truth about her, they're not going to allow you to be around. I wonder if she's just doing this for attention, or if she's been promised something. And so if Liz Cheney, if Kamala Harris was asked if Liz Cheney would serve in her cabinet and she said yes, she'd probably have no chance with the Muslim vote. Probably would have none. And someone should probably ask that. They're going around in this tour together. That seems like a question that just kind of seems pretty obvious. Maybe someone asked it, but I haven't seen any reporting on that myself. But I don't think they're doing all this for nothing. And she keeps saying that she's going to have Republicans in her cabinet. So she's going to have a Republican in her cabinet. Does it make sense that it's Liz Cheney? Wouldn't that make sense? She was like Secretary of Defense or something like that. And if she is, doesn't that explain why Dick is on board? Doesn't that explain that? I'm just throwing some stuff out there, possibilities. Anyway, let's talk about this Latino thing. I got a little off topic. So Kamala Harris will deliver real changes for Latino men and their families, help 2 million workers, including Latino men, get good paying jobs and get ahead of their careers by supporting new training opportunities, help Latino men and others start and grow small businesses with no interest loans or deferred loan repayments and fully forgivable loans up to 20K. Now, some of this sounds familiar because it's exactly what they wrote or just kind of retooled a little bit, reworded a little bit for what they pitched for Black men. And you're like, they're going to give loans to Black men and Latinos? Yeah, and Asians and white people because they can't discriminate with this money based on race. So I don't see the others comment on language on here, but it's for everybody. It's open to everybody. Wall Street Journal, did an article on that, and it when they say like, oh, it's for the loan is for Black men, Black entrepreneurs, and others. The others is literally everyone else. Literally everyone else. So these plans for Latinos and plans for Black people, it's for everyone. It's for everyone. So there is just nonsense done to pander to these groups to trick them. But the truth of the matter is these white women are going to apply for this stuff and they might get it more than these other folks. Who knows? Who knows? But everybody's in the same ballpark. More than double the number of first-time Latino homeowners each year to 600,000 with $25,000 in down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. Yeah. So there we go again with that one. That's something that's been promised to everyone. So this is not specific for Latino men. Expand the child tax credit to 18 million Latino children to provide 6,000 for new parents to purchase cribs, diapers, and other essentials. Yeah, that's already a promise she's made to everybody. That's a promise she's made to everybody. So this is not Latino specific. And cover the cost of long-term home care through Medicare to help families care for aging parents and grandparents and keep them in their homes. And that's something that's actually becoming a pretty big staple in her campaign that people are pretty excited about. Unfortunately, there's no way that she's probably going to be able to pay for that. So, it's a good carrot to dangle in front of people's noses, and they want that, and many people probably feel like they need it. But it's just funny. It's real funny that this is how they phrase. Now, again, these are policies that she's presented to everybody. So they're saying it's for Latino men and their families, but it's for everyone. But they're trying to make a special thing to be like, oh, well, we care about you guys and we got something specific for you. It's not specifically for them. So there's no point in trying to tailor this to Black men or Hispanic men when it's for everybody. What's good for Black men will be good for Hispanic men and white men and women. If it's good for them, it's good for you. That should be the message, instead of pandering here to trick people into thinking it's something specifically for them. Okay? But again, what's funny about this is that the bullet points they highlighted on the Black men was very different than what they did for Latino men. Because for Black men, they had a section about drugs, legalizing marijuana and being able to sell marijuana. So why is it that Kamala Harris and her team thought it was so important to have a bullet point for Black men and drugs, but the Latino men wouldn't be too interested in the selling marijuana? Why is that so? Why is that so, guys? I'm trying to find the thing they tweeted about it. So, again, here we go. Opportunity for Black men. And they had the loan thing on there. Good paying jobs. Cryptocurrency was different. Healthcare was different. But legalize recreational marijuana and create opportunities for Black Americans to succeed in this new industry. That was the bullet point. That was the bullet point. that she decided to highlight for Black men? The weed. The weed. And not only did she put this out, she had another one. It was green, and it was specifically about weed. Just weed. That got its own special tweet. So, my question is, what does she think of Black men? It's like they're doing everything to not get them. Like the different ads that they put out, the conversations that are being had. It seems so anti men, and they don't even know. They don't seem to grasp that at all. The way that they're speaking to Black men, it's not going to work. And I was talking to my sister earlier about this. She said it's already evident that you're kind of going against the grain when you say that you're going to vote Republican, or you're going to say you're going to vote Trump anyway, and you're a Black man. So if you have decided to come out and do that, and you're going to berate a man for his decision, that's not going to work. It's not going to convince him, because he's already made different assessments in his mind for the cost of stepping out. He's already made that calculation to some degree. So if you're going to just come in hot and berate him and say, oh, you're not really Black, or oh, you're not really a man, or you're going to ruin the whatever, blah, blah, blah. You need to try to understand why he's supporting the Republican or supporting Trump. And maybe you can convince him to not do that based on those reasons, those policies. But the talking down to them as if they're dumb children, or you coming with all this like typical, stereotypical aggression, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Before I let you guys go, I want to play this little snippet of Mark Cuban on CNBC. And he was asked about some of Kamala Harris's policies, and he said certain things that she's planning to do. If she really does it, then he would campaign against her in 4 years.
Hey, Mark, I'm looking at an NBC article from our corporate parent. It just says, I guess, at an Arizona town hall meeting, when you were asked about the possibility of taxing unrealized capital gains, you said if you really thought that the vice president would do that you'd campaign against her. So I guess that was a true comment you made. And then my follow-up.
So what I said was, I said it's not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen. If for some reason she lied about it, I would campaign against her so there wouldn't be a second term.
Okay. Then what I was going to ask you is, and I'm not going to go through, these are like, there's like 20 things, but I'll just pick out a couple that I think would be really scary. If she were to try to abolish the filibuster, if you knew she was going to do...
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Next.
And then how about free health care for all?
She doesn't talk about that. So here's exactly what she's talking about with health care.
But there were some things she has said. I can pick out probably 10 things where
Joe, I can go back to an interview.
You would say, yeah, I'd campaign against her. So what do you like?
So the capital gain stuff, and it's incredible. She's telling you her plan and what she wants to do. And he says, if she actually does the things that she says she's going to do, then I will campaign against her. And he's like, and he brings up other things that she said. And he's like, well, she's not talking about that right now. Yeah, she's not talking about them right now, but we're talking about things that while she was in the Senate, she actually voted on, legislation that she introduced or co-sponsored. That was pretty radical. So it's not like it was through it, just top of her head spitballing. It was something that she put into action, that she tried to accomplish. So I don't think people should just dismiss the things that she said 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever, just because those things haven't happened yet, because she's not the one in charge. But 5 years ago, Kamala Harris tried to dismiss it when Brett Barish said, you supported these things. And she said that was 5 years ago. But then she wouldn't say that she wouldn't do it. She just said, well, we're going to follow the law. And then Brett Baer was like, okay, but some of these things that you supported, they're things that your running mate actually implemented in the state that he runs. So, like, what is that saying? She said, we're going to follow the law. Yeah, but when you get to make the law, like you have a legislative agenda, you tell people to introduce stuff and that you intend to sign, and then it becomes the law. Yeah, you're going to enforce the law that you created. So it still matters what you thought or what you think right now about these things, but you're not really explaining your change on these things. And the reason why she can't explain the change in her positions is because, as she said, her values haven't changed. She still supports those things. And if she can get them done, she will. She will. So 5 years ago, she was running for president of the United States. So maybe people should pay attention to the things that she wanted to do while she was running for president of the United States, because she's very close right now to actually achieving that goal. It looks like she's steadily continuing to fall in the polls. And, it's more likely at this point that Trump wins, but it remains a very tight race. Who knows what will actually happen? But she hasn't explained her revelation on why she wants to moderate, but we can understand why, because she wants to win. That's what Bernie Sanders said, that she's trying to beat Trump. So he understands that some of the left-wing positions that she's not talking about so much now are things that are still true to her, but she has to get in the White House first if she wants to implement that stuff. So just hoping that she doesn't actually do some of the crazy ideas that she's pitched, that's a foolish position. And Mark went on to say, well, Kamala Harris, she's changed her positions because she's not an ideologue. She's learned. And of course she's an ideologue. She said her values haven't changed. Her values have not changed, Mark. So don't act surprised when she does dumb stuff. I don't know what's wrong with Mark. I don't know what's wrong with Mark. I don't know if he's just dumb or just attention hungry or what. I don't know. No idea. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today, I believe. Plenty more to talk about tomorrow, but I'll leave you with that because I don't want to go too far over on my time. But anyway, I encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost to stream and run my site and all that stuff. You guys can support. I appreciate it. I do need equipment and other things, changed out and replaced and so on. So you guys can help with that. I appreciate it. But I just thank you guys for watching live. I thank you to those who watch back later, those of you who leave comments and, stickers and stars and whatever. I thank you guys so much. I encourage you guys to check out my store, blacktnews.com. There's, different merch that you guys can get. And there's different books you guys can check out as well that I've written. I've written over 18 books. 2 are nonfiction. The rest are fiction, ranging from children's chapter books to like new adult stuff. So I just write about whatever's on my mind. I've got a pretty active imagination when it comes to making up stuff for books and whatnot. So I love to do it, love to write. I also, on the 3rd, the week of the election, I will be in Ann Arbor for a book signing. So I hope to see you guys there. And that weekend in Novi, I will be at Motor City Comic Con. My sister called me. She's like, I want you to come to this event. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's Motor City Comic Con. It sounded like a neat, thing to go to, and, she sounded kind of sad that I couldn't go, but I could pay for my table. And bought a bunch of books, so I can't not go. I can't not go. And excuse me, unfortunately there's I don't even know anybody I could ask either, because we're having church revival that same weekend too, and I'm like, you scheduled it the same week as Comic-Con. So yeah, I'm gonna, me and my youngest sister, we're always next to each other, and so we're just gonna have a very busy weekend, I suppose, with just the 2 of us. But last thing to mention, please share that video I just posted, the 50 reasons not to vote for Kamala Harris. Please share it, watch it, share it, comment. you know, and share it far and wide if you can. And let's get the word out, and you know, let people know that she's a clear and present danger. And I don't like to go all hyperbolic, but you know, I do mean that. I'm not going to say it's like the end of our democracy, which we're not a democracy. I'm not going to use language like that, but I do, if she's successful in the things that she wants to implement, and who knows if she can, because if she has a divided government and it remains divided, she won't be able to get much done anyway. But if she is able to push the things that they've been talking about it, and like replace, I don't know, let's say she could replace Clarence Thomas or something like that, you know, it would fundamentally change our country, and make it to the point where I don't know how well we could really recover with some of the stuff they want to do, like ending the filibuster and then going from there. So she needs to be stopped. She needs to be stopped. And just our election process, the unprecedented nature of how she came to this position, I don't think should be rewarded. I don't think she should be rewarded, and that people should ever try this nonsense again. And if she's successful, they probably will. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Please share my video, the 50 reasons not to vote for Kamala Harris. God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.